How do I market on a budget in a large city like New York City? I live in Manhattan. My job size is incredibly insane. Like sometimes it's 32,000, sometimes it's 100,000, sometimes it's 3,500. But I think I'm just so nervous to spend any money. I have purchased lawn signs, I have the door hangers and flyers, and I've been distributing all of those. The door knocking, however, is definitely limited in New York City. I don't have access to a lot of doors.
On today's Painting Business Pro Show, I have a coaching call with Alison. Now, Alison is in New York City, and she just started her business in November. It's now February. So what's really unique about this episode is a lot of the common strategies we use to grow and scale a painting company don't apply in New York City because New York City is like a different world. So in this episode, Alison and I talk through how to think about her brand, her positioning, how to market her company, and how to build her company into the future in a market that is a little bit different and unique. So if you want to get into a little bit more of the business principle and strategic thinking, or if you're in New York City, this episode is for you. Enjoy. All right, welcome, Alison. So I got your email with what you want to talk about today, but why don't you just kind of say in your own words, like, what do you want to talk about and what do you want to get some help with?
My main question is, how do I market on a budget in a large city like New York City? I live in Manhattan. I have purchased lawn signs. I have the door hangers and flyers, and I've been distributing all of those. I will be very transparent and admit that I have not done a ton of door knocking. I'm still working up to that, which I know I need to just get over it and do. The door knocking, however, is definitely limited in New York City. Yeah, I don't have access to a lot of doors, right? Like large buildings, but that being said, I have a project in Brooklyn and it dawned on me, I was like, oh, these are all brownstones. These are all row houses. Like I can do all of this door knocking stuff. So my first marketing has been with door hangers and chatting here and there, but not intentionally like going hard on the door knocking because it was like 12 degrees.
Understood. No, your questions are super appropriate. You're okay. Yeah, I won't beat you up on this one.
Thanks. Okay.
Yeah, we'll go easy on you.
Okay. Well, you don't have to. I don't want you to. But I have been going out and putting yard signs like in predominant neighborhoods in Yonkers, Pelham Bay. So these are like Bronxville. So these are like small suburbs outside of the city. Brooklyn seems to be pretty hard because there's just not a lot of like land that you can put a yard sign in. So this is what I really would love to pick your brain about. I have thought about, like, in New York, there's all of these green construction plywood walls that surround a construction site, whether it's commercial or residential. And a lot of times graffiti artists will put up posters and tag it and do all this stuff. So I was even thinking of like printing out posters and then like wheat pasting them on there. Cause it's kind of like, that's how signs happen in New York City, you know, like, so I haven't quite done that because I just have so many. And then I was even thinking of like stapling my yard signs to those plywood, boards that are out on the street. So yeah, that's my main question.
Yeah, it's marketing.
It's marketing and like on a budget. Like I'm relatively, new into the game and I don't have a ton of money, but then I think I also want the reinsurance that I should be spending more money on marketing from you.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you define when you say on a budget, is there a budget and what's the budget?
Good question. I don't necessarily have a budget. And maybe that right there is, like I've just been taking jobs and then I have about 3 jobs that have been completed. If you looked at my numbers, you can see like this year, I've only done, I think about 3 jobs and I'm still in a large job. And that's generating revenue, but I think I'm just so nervous to spend any money that, but you're right. I'll make a budget for it.
Okay. So, but your jobs have been big, right? So you have a total of $27,000 done this month and, or sold, not this month, this year, which basically was January. So that's awesome. First of all, so good job. And then it looks like you have you produced those jobs? Like completed them?
No. So I've produced most of them. There's one job that is my large job. Remember my panic email to you?
Yeah.
This is that job. And it's actually going really well because there has been a lot of additional work, right? Like there's been change orders. So I've been entering in the change orders as kind of sales because I had to, do an estimate. And then that's how I was tracking it because I was kind of confused. And I talked to Paige about that yesterday.
Yeah, it's a weird situation. So is all the sales entered in your sales plan different jobs or is that all part of that same job?
There's two jobs that are separate or one, I think it's one. And then the other two are the large job. Yeah. So it's just two jobs total this month.
Okay, great. So if I'm looking at this right, so it was 7 leads. You bid on 5 of those and you landed 2 of those. Is that right?
Are you on the sales?
I'm on your sales plan. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, great. So how did you get the 7? I'm going to just ask a lot of questions first and then we'll dive into some advice. How did you get the 7 leads?
I have been cold emailing. Okay. And so I've been cold emailing designers and realtors and I've gotten hits off that. And then I also post on Instagram and what else? Post on Craigslist. And I actually got a few lime wash jobs in December off of Craigslist that were not huge, decent.
The first thing that, and how long have you just been in business?
Formally?
Yeah.
November, late November.
Okay. Oh, great. Yeah. I mean, look, you're doing great, because one of the challenges, just transparently, New York is a different world.
Yeah.
Not, different than any other. I mean, you have a very valid, question where it's it's not going to be and anyone who's in New York, it's it's going to be different. Yeah. You're not doing pretty much a lot of this stuff. The program isn't made for here's how you run a painting business in New York City, which it would be a different program if this is for New York City. And so, we need to think back to principles. So this is a really, good coaching call to have. And I won't have exact answers the way I might if you were virtually anywhere else in the US.
Yeah.
Right. Cause that's what's in the program. And, you're doing that and you're okay, so I got these lawn signs, but where do I stick them in the concrete? Or, hey, I've got all these flyers, but these are giant apartment buildings and what am I dropping flyers in apartment buildings? Yeah. So I think the way that one of the questions I was going to have is are there suburbs that you can get out of downtown? And it sounds like the answer is yes. There's some suburbs you don't have to go that far that you can go in target suburbs.
Yeah. Okay. And that's why I've been going north. Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. So I think you should stay focused there. And let's just come back to the primary objective for the stage that you are in your business. The primary objective is stability.
Yes, that is.
That's it.
Yep.
I just want just consistency and stability.
Yeah.
And you don't need that much volume to have consistency and stability.
I agree.
Right? Which we show you in the whole business plan, right? Where it's look, you just need a little, even what you did last month, with 27,000, I know New York's a little bit different. So we probably want to bump up the expectations, prices a little more and all that. So, so we probably want to get to a point where it's $15K a week, 10 or 15K a week is probably your target. And given that your job size is going to be, what is it going to be 8,000 or do you know what your job size is looking like?
It's really been challenging because I feel I don't have enough of a sample. So my background is I'm an artist and I was doing decorative painting with other crews, out of the pandemic, right after grad school, and so I was this is amazing. There's a market for this. And so I was thinking I got a few big jobs on my own, but then I wouldn't have anything else. So I was just how do I make this more sustainable? So I decided, I found your content and then I was I can do base painting and some decorative finishes and like basically do both. Like this doesn't have to be one or the other. And a lot of base painters are offering all of these like special services because they work with designers, and then they're like, can you do X, Y, and Z? So, so my job size is incredibly insane. Like sometimes it's 32,000, sometimes it's 100,000, sometimes it's 3,500.
Okay. So it's going to be big. It's going to be over 8,000.
Yeah, I mean,
as an average.
Yeah, I guess yes. It's challenging because there's so many markets here. Like there are bottom barrel apartment repaints that
we're not doing those.
And I'm not doing that. Yeah, I'm not doing those. And but that market is incredibly intense. Like it seems like there's a lot of people feeding off that market.
Ignore that market. You're not going for that market. Yeah. Ignore that market, not your market. No. Given your background, with decorative finishes and paints, there's so many directions you'll be able to go, and there's going to be some choices to make.
Yeah.
Really in terms of like, and this is a big picture part of the conversation. Then we want to get down to like, all right, what do you need right now? Because that's kind of like the program you're in, the stage you're in your business is like where you are right now is you just need to create some stability so that then you can actually create a business and build a business. But just to mention it, some of the considerations are going to be like, what's the business you want to build? So the opportunity you have where you are is it's its own country. I mean, it's so big that you have this opportunity to choose your niche. You don't need to be, there's so many niches. And I think you're actually like in a pretty exciting one. I would love to be able to add decorative finishes and high-end stuff because I think there's way less competition. There's way more premium on pricing. It's way more engaging content for social. It's like, it's a want, not a need. It's luxury, high-end. Like it's such a good niche. But it's also because it is niche, like that might take, like that's a little more like what you might be building towards is like, I'm going to build a, and maybe you're like, I actually love doing some of the work. There's a guy that he texts me like once a year or something. He's been in touch for like years. And he does stuff like that, like really unique, cool. So, I mean, he makes walls look like they're stone, and he does some incredible stuff. And he's like, hey, here's a job I just finished. It took 2 weeks. It was 60,000. The materials was $1,500, and he's in like North Carolina or South Carolina. And that's just his niche. And I like, dude, even though like all my content is like made for like the masses, it's like, hey, build a painting company that paints the 99% of homes that are out there. And like, that's what I'm teaching. Right. I think that's not, I'm giving you permission that you don't need to like go that route and pigeonhole yourself there. That I think there's also totally a business in, hey, I'm going to have like a 4-person crew and we're going to do 2 million a year and make 1.2 million in profit. And we're not going to have marketing expenses because we're all referrals through architects and designers. And I only do 15 jobs a year, and they're immaculate. And it's like, I have pride in my business and stuff, but I can't get that juiced up over like taking a cookie cutter house from, green to blue. You know what I mean? But some of the work that I imagine you can do is really, really cool. And there is, just like there are the problems in the whole industry with professionalism, sales, like they don't run it like a business. That's also going to be there in high-end finishes. And so there's in New York, with how much money is there and how much status is the game, I think there's a really big niche for something that you actually have an expertise in. So something just to be, I'm planting that seed as like, I would kind of suggest going in that direction. Partly because you kind of have to pick a niche there because it's not here. It's like all there is to paint is houses. It's just a sea of houses, So there's not that much niche. Even if we wanted to go high end, there's not like, it's not that big a market. You have to go to Boulder or Denver, Cherry Creek, something like that to get into a lot of that. Right. So just some like principles to think from. So now let's just talk about like the first thing though, which the first thing for you is literally like just getting some consistency and stability. Yeah. And I agree with you that, lawn signs and flyers is probably not going to be like the big thing. And might as well go plaster those things places.
Yeah.
You might as well. One thing you could start to do with just your flyers, lawn signs, any branding you do is mention some of the higher end stuff that you can do. Lime washing, you mentioned a couple of those. That's something that's really, really cool. It looks really cool. It's striking and it is unique. And since you have expertise in it, you can also talk about all the ways that it can go wrong. And so I think you have a sales advantage there. It's an expensive job because it's more time intensive to do. And I think you should straight out the gate, position yourself with just like, and by position, I mean, just say like, we do high end finishes, like lime wash, and put your 3 favorites that are most It's like, what are your favorites that you're good at that are kind of popular right now and in trend?
Okay.
And just like lead with that. Like, that's who I am. Because and then you'll start to get into those circles and like, we'll start to build on that. But I think you're going to probably end up with a higher job size that way. You can talk cogently about it. Like you're a master of that stuff. And people want it.
Yeah. I started doing exactly that, like lime wash. I even was my original idea was like, oh, I'm going to build a company that like I can plug in artists, right? Like for kind of different services. But I realized it was a bit like plaster, decorative plaster, murals, lime wash, base paint, right? Those are my things. But then like I realized it's a lot to manage. And the subs that I know who do the decorative plaster, they know their skill level and they know I'm not able to get 50% off, like margin off of them. And then it was kind of hard because a lot of them have a few have their own aesthetic and they kind of just want to do their own thing. And that was kind of challenging, which I know I can like find the right subs for that. But I was just like, all right, let me just like focus on things that you apply with a brush right now. So paint, right? Like, so it's just a lot of
that, everything you just said. So just how to hold that is hold what you saw as a vision for a future.
Yeah.
That's you're right. It's a big undertaking, but that could absolutely be like a cool expression of what you create. So I look at this business and any business as like, first you got to get stability and then you got to build it and create leverage. But you are going to, if you build your business successfully, you get to a place a lot of people get to, which is I've kind of achieved all my financial goals.
Yeah.
And money isn't what drives me now. And you need a new thing. And that's a hard thing for a lot of people, but you already kind of have like a vision. Like that could kind of that may be a future thing. Like once we have this foundation where I've got a $2 or $3 million company that's really profitable, doing work, consistency and stable, and I've got a team, and like, what are we going to create from this new platform?
Yeah.
And it could be what you're saying. So I would hold your vision as like, literally put a document. It's like Allison's vision, like my vision, and just ideas and ideas and ideas, and like let those ideas crystallize over years, because you won't yet know how it will play out, how it will fit together, but you can create anything. And I think that's like what I'm doing like what we're doing at our company. And I think what I love about business is business itself can be a creative expression.
Yes, that's a huge thing I've learned from this experience. And like, ultimately, I mean, I got set on this path from my own experience, but then stumbling into you. And then I was like, because you do talk about the vision, right? Like the life that you want to build, the freedom. Every artist wants that. I think every human wants that, right? Like everyone wants to build the life that they want. But then I started realizing, I'm like, this last few weeks, I've been so excited about this business and the freedom that it gives me, and also just how hard I have to work at it and what I'm cultivating. But it's just like, I am crafting something. I am genuinely building something, just like I would build a surface or a structure and it's been really incredible to realize how creative entrepreneurship can be. And it's been shocking. But thank you for reinforcing my vision, because I was kind of getting bummed out because I was like, I'm not managing this well. And you talk about efficiency and working 20 hours a week. And I'm just like, I was running around circles doing samples, like communicating from this designer. And you know how it is, like designer to sub. And then they're like more of a specialty sub. So whatever. And then I lost a few jobs and I got kind of bummed. So I was like, all right, I'm overcomplicating. How do I simplify? And you're right. Simplify for now, get stable, and then keep that vision and grow. Which is really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that will be the journey. And so it's, so anyways, yeah, I would keep cultivating that, keep developing it, because there's 100% like, I mean, it gets me excited. I'm like, oh, this would be like could be such a cool business to build, where you're like doing these really high end finishes, and it's like a huge company, but you're also providing, I mean, for me, a lot of it is what I'm providing to my team and people that work with me. Like I'm almost motivated more by the opportunities I am motivated more by the opportunities I'm creating for people than the services we provide. But the services we provide, making those exceptional, is how I provide opportunities for the people, and they go hand in hand. And so, like what you're talking about, there's tons of artists out there that don't. If you can bring the business side to them, and then like there's some magic that could happen there. So, yeah, I wouldn't give up on that. And it's also, you've got to walk before you run. And right now, I just need some consistency and some stability, and that's all I need. So knowing that you already are doing the numbers you're doing, you can, I think you're a little bit in experiment mode right now, which embrace that you're in experiment mode. And the fastest way to get through experimenting mode is volume. So you are like, okay, yeah, I did try to put up some lawn signs places, and I did flyers. Like, you got to do enough to know it worked. Like I put up 100 lawn signs and I didn't get like a single call, and I did in the suburbs. And okay, but I said, how'd you get your 7 leads and your 5 bids and the couple jobs you did land? Like cold email. Like, great. Could you do 3 times as many cold emails this month as you did last month?
Okay. It's funny, today I started doing cold emails again because I was like, this worked. And
yes.
But it's not a big volume. I also did try Painter, what is it? The lead service, Painter Choice. I did try that. And I got a job, and then the sub bailed on me. And so I had to it was a whole thing, the learning experience. Yeah. I just felt like those, I don't want to go back to that because I felt like that was not my rung of.
I think you're probably right. Yeah. I know. I haven't been a part of Painter Choice for a while, but I know like a lot of the targeting on that ends up being a lot of like interior 1-3 rooms. Like it's some of the stuff that I think you probably don't want to be in. Yeah. I think the biggest thing you should do is triple the volume of what you did that already worked.
Okay.
So, and then level up the quality of doing it. So let's just look at two things you mentioned. One was I posted on Craigslist. Okay. So if I position myself, like, were they all lime washing that you got from Craigslist?
Yeah, I got 1 lime wash, and then but I get a lot of leads. It's just people don't realize how expensive it is. And it's like,
that's okay.
If you paint your whole house, it's $20,000. I'm sorry. Like, it's like, this is a 5-inch brush.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. We want to look at like ultimately what was at the source of the results you already got and do more of it.
Okay.
And I think I think you could do a ton more of it. So what you're doing is you're like, okay, I put this much energy into lawn signs, this much into flyers. I put this much into cold call, this much into Craigslist. All right. So you did 5 and this much into a lead service. So you did 6 things. All right. Which ones got the biggest bang for your buck? Cool. Quit the 2 that were the worst and double down on the 2 that were the best, and you'll get more results. So if we look at your cold outreach, how I would just look at that and say, how could I level this up? Like, how could I both do more of it, do 2 to 3 times? If I emailed 100 people last month, how can I email 300 this month?
Okay.
The nice thing about those is I imagine, since they're designers and architects and builders, like you could create a giant list there. And if you're doing a good job, the game there is repeat business.
Yeah.
There's a guy, I'm going to bring him on the podcast at some point, but really awesome guy. We just connected at one point. His name's Mike Foley, and he runs a company called Da Vinci Painters in Chicago. And they're like all super high end, like all the, Venetian plaster and all that. And, he like really exploded when he painted Michael Jordan's house, like he's that guy. And, he's, it's almost all repeat business. He's just in with all the high end paints the homes of the rich and famous, and they all talk. And
Yeah,
so I think I'm more putting this I'm framing this so that you don't think about it like, so what, I'm going to have to email 300 people every single month forever? No, just for now. And then when you get one, you cultivate that as a relationship. Like, you go so above and beyond. That's like, now how do I keep in touch, build those relationships? Because the reality is you might only need 50 relationships to have a multi-million-dollar business. And yeah, you might need to email 100 people to get one relationship. I'm like, okay, that means you need to email 5,000 people to get 50 relationships. And then you would get to a point where your relationships become your greatest lead source as well, because they all, and you'll start to figure that out. So, when I think about your cold outreaches, one is just do more of exactly what you were doing, but then you can look at what you were sending and see, how can I make this a little better offer? How can I include some examples of work, or put together a nice little PDF that shows like, hey, we do high end, a little video. Like, I think that you have an advantage as a woman in a male dominated industry.
Yeah.
Because especially when you're talking about high end finishes with some of these designers and clientele, is it might be like a differentiator to say, hey, like, I'm Alison. This is my background. This is what I love. Here's some stuff that I've done. I've been doing this for this long. Would love to connect. Another thing that you could, so that would be what I mean by level it up. Do more of it, and then how do I make the outreaches themselves better?
Okay. Yeah, my outreach basically has been just an introduction email with 3 photos, and then I made or 2 photos, and then I made I asked 2 of my clients to give me a a quote of like their experience.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I slapped like my logo on it and just made like a JPEG or, JPEG of it. And so I just put that in the email, and it's worked. But I think you're right. Like, now it's maybe time to like switch up, or maybe I could use both emails, introduction, and then also like
another one.
Another one. Yeah.
Effectively, what you're doing with those is you're doing B2B cold outreach.
Yeah.
And if you're in B2B cold outreach, the name of the game is multiple touch points over 6 months. It's an email, so I think rather than like sending one email to 5,000 people, you would be better off sending 7 emails to 700 people.
Okay.
Or mixing it up with an email, and then, hey, can I just like send them a thing in the mail? Can I send them a text? Can I send them an audio message? Can I send them a video message? It's about continuing to be in front of them, because a lot of these people you're also emailing, they may not have a job right now. That might be the main reason. The ones responding like, oh, look at that timing. I actually do. How convenient. But a lot of them probably aren't just like sitting there with a job, because when I need a job done, I hire someone to get the job done. Right. So I would double down on that, because it's already generated business.
Okay, cool.
And the second thing is you've done Craigslist.
Yeah.
Great. Just do more of that. Same thing. It's how do I level up the post itself? And one thing you could do is, if you want to screen out the like lowball stuff, is, just put a disclaimer. Just be like, hey, FYI, like, this is roughly what a brownstone costs to paint. If you need to add that friction.
Yeah. Because I have been fielding a lot of leads from that. So I think, even if it's like a 2-bedroom apartment, because that gives people a basic square footage without knowing square footage. Okay. So just
because you want to increase lead flow, but then when you're like wasting your time with so many leads, then you put the friction back in.
Okay.
So if you were only getting a few if you only got like 4 calls and 3 of them were not good, I'd be like, just don't mess with it, because I don't want to add a disclaimer that loses me the one good lead.
Okay.
But if I got 40 leads and 38 were priced, I'm like, dude, put something on there. Like, it's wasting too much of your time. So it's this balance between adding too much friction that I keep bad leads out, and adding no friction where it's just like I'm inundated with bad leads.
Okay. I don't think I'm inundated yet. I probably got like 10, and then I actually started just texting people back and being like, oh, because in New York, no one really it's hard to get to schedule a visit.
Yeah.
it's like hard to do the estimate. People want to know yesterday a rough number. And so I kind of talked to Hunter, I'm like, I'm giving rough numbers and then I don't hear from people. So I need to like build that value too. So that's like another thing I'm learning.
Well, and one way you can, I'm sure Hunter said this, but one way that you can do the rough numbers is you can say, well, look, this is why I like to come out and meet, because I can get you a ton of different numbers depending on your needs, your wants, options, and all that. Like for example, I could give you a rough number and say, hey, about 10 grand. But the reality is I could probably put together a price for you that's 7,000 all the way up to 27,000. And that depends on the materials, how many colors, how many coats, the condition of the home. Like it's such a big range. And I want to make sure that I charge you for exactly what you want, nothing more, nothing less. And that's what I'll do when I meet with you. So I actually have a few questions for you, and then you just take control of the call again.
All right. I'm glad that you're supportive of the cold emails, because I was kind of losing faith. And then the Craigslist thing, I was like, maybe it's just not the right place, but I guess it could work if I just really keep posting it.
How many posts did you do?
I will kind of I have them on like just auto repeat. I think I have like two or at least two a week, or no. I think it's like 2 or 3 a month, because they're like 27 days they repost or something.
So see if you double it and change the big thing on you. Go on to Craigslist as if you're someone looking for like this perfect client that you actually got a job from to do lime wash. If you went on Craigslist looking like, how would you find you if you were a customer? Would you search lime wash? Okay, so make sure your terms are in the heading. Lime wash, expert painting, expert painter, lime washing specialist.
Okay.
Like you put that in the heading, and then you make that whole ad around that thing. So you might pick your like 3 top services and make 2 versions. So if right now you have 3 ads a month, double it to 6 and make 2 versions of each of the 3.
Okay.
And then you'll start to find out and you change the headline, you maybe change some of the words in it, maybe a different picture or testimonial, and just go from 3 to 6.
Okay.
And then go from cold emails to follow up with, what's the second message I'm going to send and the third message I'm going to send, and hit up the same number of people and then follow up with all the ones you've already hit up.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. Like I just, copy and paste. I haven't been like logging who I'm emailing.
Yeah, just start doing that.
Okay. And where would I do that? Like not on a CMA?
An Excel file. Just do it on an Excel file. Just
an Excel file.
Sheet. Okay. Yeah. Name, company name, phone, email, first email sent, second email sent, third text sent, fourth, text sent, and you just got like a little chain there. And I would look at that list. Like eventually I'm going to do a job for every one of these people.
And how many emails a month do you think I should send out, or a week? Let's go a week.
Sure. Look at how many you sent last month to get your results, and then reverse engineer the result you want. So you're like, last month I got 4 leads from emailing 50 people. Like, okay, well, how many leads do you want this month? I want 12. All right, email 150 people. And then you're going to start, the more months you do this, because we're just going to say, hey, this is what worked. Cool, do more of it. This is what didn't work. Quit doing that. And you're just going to do that. And then results should get a little better this month. You'll learn more. And then you do it again. And you start to get traction with the whole thing. Because, this month you might say, hey, I sent 50 emails and got 4. So this month I'm going to send 150 and get 12. And maybe you get 4 again. Like, okay. So now I know it's actually send 200 to get 8. Right. So you'll slowly get your numbers a little more dialed on that. And I mean, I'm like huge props to you, like huge kudos to you to have like taken the initiative to like post on Craigslist and do cold outreach and just like start doing shit. Cause that's experiment mode. Like that's early. Like you just got to make it happen.
Yeah.
But as you take lots of action, you'll start to see what works, and then you can do more of what works, less of what doesn't, and you should get your results start to increase. And then we start to get to a place of like, you can predict it. Hey, if I do this, I get these results, and it starts to get predictable, and that's the stability that we want. And then you can say, okay, now what? So I have 2 other things that you can kind of consider. So one would be Facebook ads. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I keep getting kicked off of Facebook. I don't know what's going on. So I have to like figure that out. I don't know why, but I got off Facebook for a long time, but I did start another page, joined your group, and I was thinking about starting the Facebook ads. But I was kind of curious what you think about Facebook ads versus Google ads. Cause like I put up a splash page. Okay. All right.
Facebook ads.
Okay.
Especially with specialty finishes.
Okay.
So the next time that you're painting, go look at, just go take a couple hours and start like binging some painting content. You know, go look at ZK Painting.
Okay.
Zach Kinney, he does a lot of high end finishes and stuff in Connecticut, I think.
Okay.
But he's got like 100,000 some followers on Instagram, and he does a really good job with like the coatings content. And I think he does a good job with just the videos themselves and, you know, all that, but also like it's high end finishes. Like it looks pretty stunning. And so I think if you start to document and get video like that video on Facebook, and then like you doing a selfie video on a site on Facebook as your ads, I think that would be, it would just be a matter of time before you get that to work effectively. Like that will absolutely work. It's just a matter of time and investment. And so if you're like, I can only do $50 a day, then you'll just learn at that rate. And then once it starts to work, you can bump it to 100 a day and you'll learn faster. But I think that's a big opportunity as Facebook ads for you.
Okay.
Especially with the type of work you can do. And then the fourth thing is kind of like a way to beef up your cold, which, and this is like a maybe bonus thing. And I don't know if you're able to offer this or do this, but you could offer a free service to a designer as a foot in the door.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's doable or not, but you know.
Yeah. Once this big job closes, yeah, I think it'll be doable. Yeah.
Well, it'd be like you got to limit it to something, or you could say like, hey, it's a free day and it's like a $2,000 day rate, but I'll do a free day. And, you know, I just want to show you the kind of work I can do. And I do this kind of high end work. Like if you added that into your cold outreach, you'll get more response. And big picture, the value of being in with a designer that has 3 projects a year for you for $50,000 a year, it's like, what's that worth? Is it worth like a day of free labor? Like, fuck yeah.
Let me ask you this, like, I don't want to be on the tools.
It doesn't need to be you. You could send someone out to do it.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page of that. Because I mean, I love doing it all, but now I'm kind of like, you know, it'd be cool if I could get a really fun mural or something like experimental. Then I would love to play, you know. But for the most part, ear.
Again, that's like a bonus. It's like, hey, just keep it in mind, you know. Okay. Is there an offer I can make that's like a no-brainer to someone, you know?
Okay. I think I've heard of people doing that's how they get in with some of these big designers, and that like doing a whole project or doing a day like that, it can ingratiate you with some bigger names.
Dude, the person that I just saw him at the PCA Expo, Darren, he's probably done 30 websites and SEO for me now. And I probably referred him to 100 people. He hit me up in 2015. He started Painting Business Pro, started his painting business, and he got so immersed in building his website and his SEO and just loved it. He went and like looked at all my companies at the time, and he sent me an email and he said, hey, Eric, I just wanted to reach out. I'm a member, but I'm really thinking about actually doing like website and SEO. And I actually looked through your whole site, and there's all these opportunities to make your SEO better. I was wondering if I could do your SEO at Foothills for free. And if I prove myself and do a good job, I'd love to do all the other companies. And I booked a call with him, and he was sharing with me 2 days ago. He's like, I was so nervous for that call. And I got on the call, and this was the call. Thanks for the email, Darren. How about you just do all the sites right now and we'll just pay you?
That's awesome.
So there's also like, just, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do a bunch of free shit, but it's a better offer, and you could even like specifically offer like, this is the work I personally love to do. And you could just offer like the thing that you would be down to go do for a day.
Yeah.
It's not just like, hey, oh, you need me to paint the bathroom? It's like, hey, if you want like something I'm really good at and love, is this, and I'd love to do one for free for you to show you what I can do for all of your clients.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And that could be something you don't even send out to every single cold. It could be like, dude, there's these 5 designers that you have hunted down, and you're like, I badly want to do their work. So it could be like you only pull that out as a special weapon when you need it,
Yeah.
It's just something to be considering. But I think if you double up on your cold and do more follow-ups than just the single phone call, text, email, even postcard, the more personalized, the better. Track it. Craigslist, double how many ads you did and change up the versions. And then when you're comfortable budget-wise, I would start bragging about your work with Facebook ads.
Okay. And what do you think is a good budget to start with per day? On Facebook, yeah.
Ask Evan on the webinar if you can.
Okay, cool.
He's going to be able to give better answers than me.
Okay.
And, but look, I mean, you with the job size that you have, so that, one of the things to kind of put in context too here is you have a big job size. I'd like you to be at 10% less cost of marketing, right? That's what I'd like you to be at. So that's what I preach is like, if you got a $3 million business, you spend $300K or less on marketing. $3 million business, you spend $3. So if your average job size is $8,000, then I'd want you to spend $800 or less to win a job.
Okay.
Make sense? And that's to be at 10% cost of marketing. But you don't actually need to be there at the phase you're in right now. Okay. Because you need to be at 10% cost of marketing to scale, because you're going to have project managers, sales reps, office managers, other overhead, and you need, you can't balloon that. But right now it's you, the labor, materials, and marketing. So even if your marketing cost was 25% right now, and you spent $2,000 on Facebook ads to land an $8,000 job that you make $2,000 on, like it's not ideal, but you're not losing money.
Yeah.
That's still like that $2,000 it comes back to you with 2,000 more with it.
Yeah.
If it's highly ineffective, because you should be able to, you've got high job size is advantageous. And we say it's 8,000, but it might end up being higher than that too.
Yeah.
Your job size.
Okay, great.
I mean, gives you a good plan of attack here.
Yeah. And I've had a few slow weeks, so this is like perfect timing. And I know it's like the season and everything, but still.
You're doing great, dude. I mean, I'm really optimistic for you. I wasn't sure how, just transparently, I'm like, all right, so she's struggling with some marketing questions and she's in New York City. All right, let's see how this goes. And then when I saw hearing your energy about it, your enthusiasm about it, the initiative you're taking, the results you've already generated, like really strong start.
Okay. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I want to know. I want to know more how it goes. I really want to hear about how it goes, and I really want to hear about great results.
Yeah, of course. Awesome. All right. Well, I got to get emailing. Do you think I should hire someone to help me with emailing?
Not yet.
Okay.
Right now, and you only hire once you are so busy you can't do it yourself. Okay. And even then, there's probably other ways to make it more efficient. So if you got to a point where you're like sending all these, like your schedule is just jam packed, we could probably look and say like, okay, of all the cold emails you send, where do 80% of the results come from? Okay, quit all the other. Oh, they're all designers. I'm emailing designers, architects, and builders, but 80% of the leads have come from designers. I'm like, cool. Stop emailing builders and architects. just email designers, and instead of emailing, 30 of each, now just email 60 designers, and you'll actually work less, but you'll get more results because all the results were coming from designers anyway. So there's a lot of other ways to create efficiency than just hiring. So I like to make more efficient, make more efficient, make more efficient, make more efficient. Once that's super efficient, then you can hire. But I don't think you're just with your volume and numbers right now, you're not there. You don't need to hire anybody yet.
Yeah.
That would just stress you out more, because then you'd have overhead and, just hustle it up. I think you can just do this to get to $15K a week and $60,000 a month. And if you can get to $60K a month, where you're putting 15 to 20 in your pocket, would that be the stability you'd be comfortable with?
Yeah.
Cool. And then it's all right, cool. Now you've kind of got this platform where you're all right, now I can really start to just experiment things, because it's not need driven anymore. You've got stability. So now you can kind of slow it down and, just keep doing the same process we're essentially doing now. And it just keeps growing.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate all of your notes and also reflecting your the excitement. I appreciate that, because I think it's a interesting road in New York City, but it's also there's so much money here.
Yeah.
It's I just have to tap into the right. And it's I have my little crew of people or people I know are high-end contractors, but like you said, they don't always have the budget for it, or they're doing other projects. So I have to be in more people's ears or emails and in their mail and all of that. So
you could also drop into design offices.
I've thought about that. Yeah.
That'd be probably better than door to door for you.
Yeah, that's true. And just set up drop off a card and a
who can I talk to? I do high-end finishes. Who would I need to talk to throw my hat in the ring for the next time you need someone to do high-end finishes?
Okay. Great.
I think that's probably more interesting to you too, because it's just more aligned with your vision. And I think there's just so much opportunity there. Again, the guy I shared with you, Mike, his whole business is that. And I'm dude, you guys really cool, inspiring business. And he's also Da Vinci.
Sorry. Da Vinci.
Yeah, Da Vinci painters. Yeah, I'm gonna have him on at some point. But yeah, all subcontractor crews, $17 million a year, all high end.
Wow, yeah.
In Chicago, awesome guy. He's been doing it for 40 years. Son runs the company mostly now. I'll have him on before too long.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I'll look him up too.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate all your wisdom.
That might be, yeah. Send me an email. Maybe I'll just make an introduction. He would love to help. He's
really
sure.
Guy. I was gonna say I might reach out to him, but yeah, I'd love an introduction.
Just email me, and I'll just be Mike, Alison, just putting you guys in touch.
Okay, cool.
I think he'll take I'm sure he'll take the call. He's a really, really great, generous guy.
Okay, cool. Great. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Good for now?
We're good. Yeah. I mean, I have a million other questions, but I think this is what I really need to focus on.
That's right. All the other questions, you're all right, once you solve the marketing problem, all right, now we're doing a lot of estimates. Now we're booking jobs. Now we got production problem. You just solve the next.
Yeah.
And then just keep all those questions.
Yeah, exactly. It's the production thing as a woman, because there is an advantage as in the sales in this industry, but as a woman in the production, it's been interesting and
different. There's, I'm not a woman, so I can't speak to it, but I will say our, Elkhorn Painting, so Hunter's company, it's almost, I think he has one male production manager and then 3 or 4 that are all women.
Love that.
So you could talk to him or see if there's any of his people that would be willing to chat with you about that. Jill was head of his production. She's moving over to commercial stuff, but she's killer. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Or any of the others, so you may tap Hunter to see if you can connect with anyone there.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think for the most part, a lot of it is just learning to be a leader and how you're going to engage with certain people and also learning to read people quicker.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think you just have to kind of go through. And I'm already kind of learning that. And I'm oh, okay. I could have seen that red flag.
Yeah. I think your assumptions are right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's what it takes. Like I got to go through it. I got to learn it. I got to read people. You know, you'll start to learn to trust your instincts and your gut. Like, yeah, in hindsight, this thing kind of did rub me the wrong way. Got it. So I need it. You just over time, like I've learned to just trust my instincts when it comes to people, crews. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Thanks, Eric.
Right.
I really appreciate your time.
Yeah. This is great. Anyone listening, I'd love to hear what you guys got out of this, because a little bit different, but I think really valuable principles here. So yeah, thanks for sharing, Alison. You're awesome. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the show. I hope you found it valuable. We make these episodes in the show for you, truly. So your feedback is super valuable to us, whether it's, things you like, things you didn't like, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. Any feedback you can give us is going to be super helpful as we continue to evolve and improve the show over time. And if you want a copy of the Fast Growth Roadmap for Painting Contractors, which really simplifies the steps you take to building a business, we've got that resource for free for you. Just check the description or the bio where you're watching or listening to this episode, and you can just click and download that for free, and it should help give you a good roadmap for how to build and scale your business like the people that you're listening to on the show. So thanks for listening in. We'll see you soon.